Hey guys, how's it going? Ricky Widmer here from Most Valuable Podcast, here to give you our college basketball rankings for this week. And some of you may have been sitting there going, well, guys, you didn't come out with them on Monday, so are there no rankings this week? No, with the 3-day holiday weekend, me and Brandon were like, you know what, we're going to do this video Tuesday night, and our rankings are going to go from, I want to say it's the 11th to the 18th. So that Oklahoma-Iowa State game is technically taking into account in these rankings. Anything that happened on Tuesday night, you guys are going to have to wait until next week. But before we get into the rankings, I want to mention we have 3 teams dropping out this week. My Illinois Fighting Illini, I don't know why they were in there. I don't know why I put them in there. I just put them in there because I wanted to. Then we had the Gonzaga Bulldogs falling off this week, and the Duke Blue Devils losing 3 straight games, falling out of the rankings completely. They were a top 10 team for us just last week, but the one team receiving votes now, one team received votes and did not get in, the Syracuse Orange, mainly because they beat the Duke Blue Devils this past week. But now let's get into the real rankings. 25 through 21 to start, and we've got a 3-way tie to start off at 23 between the Kentucky Big Blue Nation, the Kentucky Wildcats, the Clemson Tigers, and the Indiana Hoosiers. Then at number 22, the South Carolina Gamecocks, and at number 21, the Purdue Boilermakers. And the 3 teams I want to talk about here. First off, that tie. Clemson's here because they beat Duke. Let's be honest. Kentucky's kind of been on a fall. They've already got 4 losses so far this year. They are not the same team that we saw last year that only lost 1 game, and that was to Wisconsin in the Final Four. Then Indiana, and I know I said Tuesday's games aren't being taken into consideration for these rankings, but if you saw, and even if you didn't, look up their score against my Fighting Illini from Tuesday, 103-69. This is a team that is going to be climbing up the rankings more and more as we get through the season. They're right here. They're going to be going up the more they win. They're going to be a team to watch. South Carolina is so low in our rankings because, yeah, they've got 1 loss, but who really have you beaten so far this year? That's why they're at number 22. Let's move on, though. 20 through 16. And at number 20, we've got the Southern California Trojans. Then at number 19, the Butler Bulldogs. At number 18, the Providence Friars. 17, the Louisville Cardinals. And at 16, the Miami Hurricanes. And, I mean, USC jumping up a little bit, winning a few this week, but their big win coming in that 4 overtime game against the Wildcats of Arizona. Butler kind of falling back. Providence falling back a little bit since being up in our rankings with their good start to the year. Louisville and, I mean, Miami of Florida, they're a team that's taken a few steps back. They got to win a few games to get higher in our rankings. Then 15, we're going to move on, 15 through 11. And at number 15, the Virginia Cavaliers. Number 14, the Baylor Bears. Tied at number 12, the Michigan State Spartans and the Iowa State Cyclones. And at number 11, the Arizona Wildcats. And to me, Michigan State, I had them a lot lower than Brandon did. And the reason being is they've had some tough losses this year. And I mean, Iowa State, they're a team, the reason why they're so high, they beat the number 1 team in the nation. And for Steve Prohm, this is how you get that credibility with the fans in Ames. Because as on ESPN, I want to say it was Digger Phelps that said it today on SportsCenter, he said, you know what? Fred Hoiberg's the mayor in Ames. He's the mayor of Ames. And you don't get a nickname like the mayor without being loved by that community. This was the first step for new head coach Steve Prohm to say, hey, you know what? I'm just as good as that Hoiberg guy. We're going to do good things. I just beat Oklahoma. Then you've got, Virginia, Baylor. Some people may say, well, why is Baylor just below Iowa State when they beat them? They beat the number 1 team in the country. That's all that can be said there. Moving on, though. We're going to go 9 through 6 because we have a tie at 9 and 7. The tie at 9, the Texas A&M Aggies and the SMU Mustangs. The tie at 7, Iowa Hawkeyes, Maryland Terrapins, and at number 6, the West Virginia Mountaineers. The Mountaineers beating Kansas, who was the number 1 team, getting some good wins this week. Here's the one thing I got to level with you guys. Had a subscriber, a loyal listener, kind of say to me, well, Ricky, what's this snubbing my Texas A&M Aggies? Who have they beaten? Yes, they've had some quality wins, but who have they beaten? Are you happy that they're a top 10 team? Because that's all I'm going to give you right now. They're a top 10 team. There's no way that I'm putting Texas A&M ahead of any of these teams. The only team I would put them ahead of in the top 10, which I did in my rankings, is the team they're tied with. Because SMU, you're undefeated, but who have you beaten? Who have you beaten? Nobody. And you're not going to play anybody for the rest of this regular season conference tournament. So, really, SMU can go undefeated and not be a number 1 team in my mind, because who did you beat? Maryland, they're a team that's kind of fallen back a little bit. Iowa, they're a team that's moving up. Beaten Michigan State twice now this season, at home and on the road. Then the top 5. No ties here, top 5. At number 5, we've got the Xavier Musketeers. At number 4, the Villanova Hova. Number 3, the Oklahoma Sooners. 2, we have Kansas. Number 1, North Carolina. And this is how I had it. I had Kansas 1 on mine. Brandon had North Carolina. NC, Kansas, Oklahoma, all separated by 1 point. 49, 48, 47. Villanova and Xavier, kind of in the same ballpark. I had them lower in mine, Xavier that is, because they lost to Villanova. And that's the only thing keeping Xavier below them. But here's the question I want to ask to you guys. And to me, you could throw any of these teams at number 1. But out of North Carolina, Kansas, and Oklahoma, who would you have at number 1 this week? Because Brandon put North Carolina. I put Kansas back at number 1. Who would you guys put? Let me know down below in that comment section. But that's going to do it for these rankings. Go and make sure you leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought of the rankings. Who's too high, who's too low. Also, go ahead, check us out on Facebook, Twitter. Check me out on Twitter. Hit that subscribe button right above my left shoulder, right on your screen. Thank you guys for checking out this video. And as always, have a good day, everybody.